it's also, I think it just shows just how much of a threat J.D. Vance represents to the kind of woke infrastructure of the left that has been trying to figure out something they can do to pin on this guy here. And this idea that, he wants to be buried in this family, well, that's terrible. Oh, my God, white supremacy. But he talked really movingly in his speech also about migration being a good thing as long as we bring migrants into the national family. And that's what he's talking about doing legally doing it the proper way into the national family, not people just, breaking into the country illegally. And there you go.
Well, we've got a huge show coming up. We'll be talking lots more about Trump. It was, of course, a week ago on this show that the assassination happened only half an hour before we went to air the assassination attempt.
On this show? I take a week off when you lose your mind.
I know, Rita. Where were you? What an extraordinary week. We'll be talking lots more about that during the show. Trump's back out there on the campaign rally.
Can we talk about how astonishing that is? Of course, it was astonishing the way he jumped up straight away and had that fighting spirit. But the fact that a week later, he's out there again, exposed in a setting where if you're fearing for your life, most normal people, I think, would hesitate to do that. It's one thing to speak at the Republican National Convention where the security is top notch and then there's just but to hold these rallies throughout the country in all these different settings where you're relying on Secret Service and local authorities to do their jobs properly, which they've demonstrated they can't.
Exactly.
I think that just takes enormous courage. And if I was Melania, I would be beside myself.
Absolutely.
But I think she has been beside herself because, remember, Barron wasn't at the Republican National Convention. He was the only child who wasn't there. She only showed up that last day. And I think it has a lot to do with they've still got PTSD, though he seems to be soldiering on.
Well, the thing is, too, is, there are so many questions, too, that really need to be answered about just what happened last Sunday, just before we went to air. We are now hearing so much stuff about the Secret Service, what they did and didn't do on the day. And the Washington Post has just dropped this story that the Trump camp had been asking for more Secret Service protection for the former president, and that had been knocked back. So this comes into the context of all of this other stuff. Apparently, the shooter had secreted the weapon on the site beforehand. It was not picked up by a Secret Service sweep. He did a drone. He ran a drone over the site the day of the event, and the Secret Service didn't say, hey, what's the problem? The Secret Service let him in with a rangefinder. The Secret Service had seen him at 5:52 on the roof, apparently, and for 20 minutes, this was 10 minutes before Trump took the stage, they didn't say, let's not let the president out there, and let's let him keep speaking while they had a threat identified.
It's far worse than that. He was spotted and identified over an hour before Trump took to the stage and before the shooting happened. And for them not to neutralise that risk, at the very least, tell the president, do not take to the stage until we find out what is happening with this man and we've actually located him and apprehended him. There's a man dead today. You've got a father who shielded his wife and his daughter who's dead because of this incompetence. Gross incompetence is the best case scenario.
Well, the reality is there's all sorts of conspiracy theories out there. Was there a second shooter? Was there this? Was there that? All of that. But listen to me, Rita. The point is the reality is crazier than any of the conspiracy theories. The reality that you could have for an hour beforehand the public pointing up saying there's this guy on the roof with a gun, he's got a gun. You could have a policeman clambering up a ladder and having the gun pointed at him and scrambling away again. You could have that lunatic head of the, who's the diversity and inclusion pick. Here we go, another one. Kim Cheetle, the head of the Secret Service, who says, we wouldn't want someone up on the roof. Secret Service agents, there's a bit of a slope on the roof. They might slip over. How could you possibly do it? Day of the Jackal stuff, come on. Frederick Forsyth has come out and said that this is a complete farce. He's the guy who wrote the original Day of the Jackal 50 years ago, saying what on earth is going on. So whatever the reality is, it's stranger than the conspiracy theories because you've got this DEI pick, you've got diversity and inclusion. We saw the footage of the Secret Service officer, whoever they are, wandering around. Holster girl couldn't put her gun in a holster. They were out of breath. They were unfit. They were shorter than the person they were protecting. I mean, everything about it. Here she is, holster girl. She's there wandering around. It looks like a bad 1980s comedy movie, and that is what it is. So the reality is, when the true story of this comes out, it'll be worse than the conspiracy theories.
Well, the investigation needs to go beyond the FBI. There's very little faith in the FBI, who have been compromised politically over and over again in recent years, and trust in them is at record lows. There are so many questions we don't know. We don't know really much about the ideology of this shooter, though the FBI has now cracked into multiple devices. They know precisely what his ideology is. Why are they not sharing that? Why? Just simple questions like, which car did he take to the shooting? There's the reports of multiple
And I have to
cars.
say too,
Why did his father call police authorities before his son was even identified as the shooter? Why did he fear that his son perhaps may have been involved? There's so many questions.
What is fascinating is Trump is not going down that route. He's just kind of leaving that to one side. But I would imagine behind the scenes, Trump must be absolutely furious. Someone takes your ear off, nearly takes your life, kills one of your supporters, and where are the answers?
We were an eighth of an inch from history being radically different, okay? That is the fact, and we need to know why and how that was allowed to happen. And I also think, I'm sorry, a lot of the American media are also derelict in their duties because they are not keeping this on the front page. They are not asking, where is Kimberly Cheadle's resignation letter? I mean, like, I'm sorry, you have one job, and that is to protect this guy, you know, and Joe Biden and Robert Kennedy. But, like, this is what you do. This is your thing. And if somebody takes a shot at them and they clip his ear and almost kill him, and this has happened on your watch because you're not able to hang on, because you're not able to manage the rosters right, allegedly, for your Secret Service people. Come on, that's worse than a joke. And why aren't the press also at the doors of the parents? Why aren't we finding out much more about this kid? Who is he? What were his ties? I simply just find it very strange that this 20-year-old had no social media history, nothing. We don't know anything about
in America.
Just this cipher.
Well, I'm sorry.
As I said, one day decides he's going to take a shot at Donald Trump. Okay, but Trump, Rowan, to your point, you know, the thing is about the conspiracy and the screw up. The screw up is almost more scary than the conspiracy.
It's crazy
because this is where we realize nobody in charge of anything knows what the hell they're doing.
Anyway, let's have a quick... the screw up is the conspiracy. Unless you don't give Trump the resources he needs, that you know he needs, you don't have the competent people assigned to him, because you really don't care about his safety.
Well, you really don't want him to be safe, would be the obvious conclusion to be drawn from this whole farce, an absolute fiasco. We need answers. I imagine once Trump gets into the Oval Office, we will get those answers. Here's a bit of Trump this morning at the latest rally.
Now we have something coming up where they're going to go for the convention, and they have a couple of problems. Number one, they have no idea who their candidate is, and neither do we. So who would you like to most run against if you're us, if we want to win? Ready? Kamala Harris. Crooked Joe Biden.
They want
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. And that is the big question. When is Joe Biden going to stand down? Is he going to stand down? Will it be Kamala Harris, or will Obama somehow manage to shoehorn Michelle Obama into that spot? There's still a long way to go till the actual election, and that's the big fear. Republicans and Trump supporters cannot relax because, you know, there's a lot that can happen between now and November.